What are the benefits to create an LLC for your business?
Liability is always a huge component. And I jokingly say, everyone says, oh, I don't really have any issues. I don't have any liability issues. They're what you call unforeseen circumstances, right? But the whole thing is they're unforeseen. So you never know what you're going to have in the future as an issue in your business. Like you have no idea. That's the whole point of an unforeseen circumstance. Like I've had clients countless. I mean, we could literally make a whole video series on countless issues I've had with clients. But I've had clients like in the supplement business, for example, get sued because a class action lawyer found some of their customers and got them to agree to a class action lawsuit claiming maybe some ingredient was not in their supplement. And they're going after them because of that one issue. Whether or not they actually had the ingredient in there or not is not the point. They've got a class action lawyer that went out and found 50 or 100 or 5,000 clients and said, sure, we'll sign on to a class action lawsuit if we can get a few bucks out of this. And the last thing in the world you want is for them to sue you personally, putting your personal assets at risk, your home, your investment portfolio, other business interests, maybe real estate you own, that sort of thing, your cars. You don't want them coming knocking on your door, harassing your wife and kids, process servers knocking on your door. So you have no idea. Like to me, if you're a real estate investor and you own your investment properties in your own name, you're absolutely crazy. I've had people argue this point to me. Yeah, but I have liability insurance that covers my, any liabilities that happen on my property. Well, sure, you should have liability. Also, don't get me wrong, you should absolutely have liability. But a insurance adjuster's entire job is to not pay you on that claim. They're looking for loopholes to not pay you on that job. If you've ever read an insurance contract, the fine print is pages and pages and pages of exclusions to that. Like, for example, you might have a rental property and you think, oh, you're covered, but maybe it doesn't cover if somebody, one of your tenants, decides to build a meth lab in your kitchen and blows the house up and kills somebody. I've seen that before, where actually they don't cover illegal drug use and production in a rental house. That's actually in a lot of your rental contracts. And you think, yeah, but I'm covered. But you're not covered on a lot of things. So yes, you want the liability insurance, but if you own rental properties, and I bring this up because I had a client in Texas had this happen, where he actually had 10 rental properties. He owned all of them in his own name. And one of his tenants had a meth lab in the kitchen, blew the house up, and somebody died. And he lost everything because everything was in his own name. He completely lost all of his properties because they ended up suing him for millions. The liability insurance denied the wrongful death claim because of one line item. I think there was two things, actually. There was one about using the business for commercial use, and they were selling, the meth from the house. And then there was something else about illegal consumption of drugs in the house or something like that gave them a way to get out of it. He owned 10 properties in his own name, and basically they took everything to satisfy that. Because the judgment was for millions. The person who died, their family sued for millions. In my opinion, the number one reason you want to run any of your investment assets or your business interests through an entity like an LLC. So liability is huge. Professionalism. If I'm going to send my client an invoice and I send it from Bobby versus Bobby LLC, it just lends an air of credibility to have it go through a company and a company bank account, and they can pay you by credit card. You got a Stripe account or a merchant processing account in the company name. You stand above your sole proprietorship competitors who might be bidding on the same project. So professionalism is a big one. If you have a business that you ever want to sell at some point, I don't know, maybe you've got an e-commerce store that is doing pretty well. it will open up your range of buyers tremendously if you have a legal entity in place, because depending on the size of the business and the nature of the business, some of your buyers want to buy your entity itself. They don't want to only buy the assets of the business. They want to buy the business structure, because in some cases it makes it easier for them to transition ownership of the business. Especially like an Amazon store, for example, would be a good case there. It's easier, for example, if you were selling me an Amazon store, it's easier for me to take ownership of your LLC than it is for me to go to Amazon and have to get me approved and move the account over to my new Amazon seller account. Also, if you're selling the business, your buyers are going to look at that much more favorably. Just from a professionalism standpoint, you'll probably get a higher multiple on your multiple of EBITDA on the purchase of your property, because it just looks more legitimate to them. Off the top of my head, that's definitely the top reasons you want to run your business through an entity, for sure. And tax-wise, there could be some tax advantages. I guess we didn't even hit on tax, but there could be quite a bit of tax advantages depending on your personal circumstance as well. For example, if you're a non-U.S. person, meaning you're not a U.S. citizen or green card holder, so you're not a U.S. taxable person, oftentimes running your business entity through a U.S. LLC is very favorable, because in most circumstances, as long as your business doesn't have Nexus or ECI, ECI is effectively connected income to a trade or business in the U.S., as long as your business doesn't have Nexus or ECI in the U.S., you don't have any U.S. tax obligation in most cases. So, for example, a German running, let's say, doing consulting, living in, Thailand, for example, can run his entire business through a U.S. LLC, have access to payment processing, banking, Stripe, PayPal, all that, and have zero tax obligation in the U.S. on that entity. So it could be very attractive for somebody in that situation as well, because can be huge tax advantages. For tax stuff, you have to really kind of dig in on each individual situation to see if it makes sense for that person.
If you're starting a new business and you'd like Business Anywhere to help you create your LLC, use the link in the description below and enter the code BEGIN15 at checkout to save 15%, excluding the state fees. If you want to see my step-by-step walkthrough of how to start an LLC with Business Anywhere, watch this video right here. And I hope to see you in another video. Bye-bye.